Hi, so this is Ricky Chan over here with my BAJA 5B 2017 model. Couple of upgrades that have gone through, as you can see, gone up. As you can see, we have a front UPGRAGED bumper installed. That's just my pull rope. All right, so that came standard. That installation there came standard with the 2017 BAJA. I will be replacing these shocks with IRC innovative shocks front and rear, which are respectively these on the floor. These are competition shock absorbers. So yeah, there you have it. IRC innovative IRC shocks, 2 for the front, 2 for the rear, and I will be using shock oil 45 weight silicone shock oil for both of them. Further upgrade going through is the new brake discs and fin, and the KM air filter, and I upgraded precision engineered clutch bell housing with the gear. Thing is, this comes manufactured from factory with a 4mm, or rather M4 stud. So what I've done is drilled through the pinion gear and the bell housing and used a M5 for this. In this case, there's the cap bolt. Alright, it's all thread locked inside, easy access. You can open and close it from the tools in very rare occasions. Anyway, heading back to the car, so you can see that looks beautifully done. We have shock limiters installed as well from RC models. Alright, so those are the bead locks alloy from KM. My tires are going to be changed for knobby type soon, within a week. I'm just waiting for them to be shipped to me. Alright, what we have over here is slight problem that I have rectified. We had my brake system, which has been replaced by that. Alright, this is alloy copper brake pads from stock, which was this. Alright, that's stock, manufactured from King Motor or wherever they manufactured, I don't know. Problem was the brake discs kind of started whirling around the brake hex hub. So basically, well, that's the only phrase I can find, is like really totally messed up. Thing is, the pin that was sitting through the hex hub into the shaft, which is this, actually seized. So I had to drill through very carefully and then knock the pin out from there using different drill bits, and here's the little bugger, finally got it out. Alright, that's the pin there. We don't need that anymore. So regardless of that, I got the new one fitted in. We have new brake discs gonna be installed over there too now. Alright, so let's take that with us. Put them here. Alright, so another thing upgraded is the clutch bell housing to KM. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. It's doing what it's supposed to. Another thing I did is I opened these seals, yeah, and on both ends of the bearings, and I filled it up with grease to a certain level so that it's not too little and not too much in the bearing. Now what that would actually do for your bearings is actually give them longer life. I have done that on my previous buggies and I've never encountered problem as such. So yeah, you need to consider doing that whenever you're doing a reinstallation. Always get your bearings greased up, even though they're new. Even though factories, when they manufacture these bearings, they tend to have a small quantity of, well, I would consider saying that heat resistant or high heat resistant grease put into these bearings. But once you get the seal off and you see what actually is in there, the quantity seems very little. So you want to increase that by about 30 or 40% more. Not too much, like when you're putting the seals back it's over flooding. No, you want to leave some small little air pockets inside there so that the grease can have ample movement, especially during expansion and contraction, especially when so you want to put your grease in there. That's going to make your bearings last a longer time, and I'm pretty sure of that, as well, I am a mechanical electrical engineer. I know what I'm saying. So anyway, regardless of that, did some slight modifications over there, put my mad flaps on, got my Mad Max spoiler going on there, rear bumper, that's our team WLB West London bashers. I've got my rear shock limiters installed there too, as you can see. So what we're doing over here today is, of course, we are replacing our brake discs and fin. So yeah, I'll be back shortly, and we can go through the procedure step by step, and hope you like the video. Cheers. Just give you a walk through quickly of what's been going on my car. That's Windows by BMR INTEGY system. We have a kill switch system going right across the body there into the shell. Lost my stop button there just over the weekend while I was doing a test and meet up with the West London Bashers team. I have my FID PULLSTART there, custom what's it called, anodizing. Well, I did that myself, so yeah, pretty good. We got a PULLSTART brace over there, got my little alloy fuel cap there. That's all looking good so far. So we'll get back to you as we do this step by step. I have my World War II game loading at the same time, so I'm up and down. Tomorrow is the launch day. So yeah, I will get back to you shortly. See ya. Yeah, so I'm back. I just wanted to show you something. Whenever you're installing your new brake discs and your brake hex hub, you want to always make sure when you're installing your discs and you put a new fin on, one would tend to forget which direction the fin may be. So always remember that would be incorrect. That would be the right way. Alright? No, sorry. That would be the right way. Basically, the fin's going that way. Alright? I hope you're with me. And not the fin's going that way. Alright? So you want to kind of figure that out for yourself. You want to have it this way. Alright? So don't make that silly mistake of putting it that way. So yeah, be back shortly. Bye bye. Right, so I'm back. I just wanted to quickly share something else with you. As you can see, the discs are on. Regarding the bell housing, alright, stock lets you only put the cap screw, the cap head screw that way. Now what this whole idea of having it this way is, number one, under the bell housing, inside the bell housing shaft, we have our threading already done. So the cap screw is actually not being put through that way. Always remember, it's actually put through that way. So the thing is, if anything does happen, of course you will need to remove your bell housing incomplete. But this is engineered as an M5. It's really strong. I have machine tested it. It's working at 43 Nm per square foot pressure. So it's pretty strong. Oops, we don't want to break that glass. Delicate. Yeah, so you want to make sure your cap screws are installed through the backside of the bell housing, and you always want to make sure you have the correct bell housing, because as you can see with this one, which is a shady one, if I can slightly, yeah, it had a very thin weld to it. So basically what happened, the shaft made way from the housing. So yeah, it was just spinning around and wasn't doing any good. So that was my bad. I did not see the weld type that was used on that was very thin, as you may be able to see if I put this down here. I'll probably zoom in. Try to capture. Alright, there you go. So the weld that was used around the cracked bit was very thin and wasn't substantial enough to have this bell housing doing what it's supposed to do, withstanding pressure and tolerance and resistance, etc. per pressure per square inch. Another thing I could have easily done is I could have easily put spot welding there around on the lower ring where there's no contact to the vehicle, the bell housing as well as anything else. I would have gotten away with that, but yeah, I didn't. Yeah, so here's a close example of what stock threading is. So this was done by the provider from before. There's already a cap screw head down there, if you can see that. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, there's a cap screw going through. It was intended to do what it was supposed to do, but basically what it is, the bell housing quality was not really substantial. So yeah, you want to stick with these kind of bell housings. Why? Because they're lathed. Actually, one of the engineers I know of confirms this, that this is a super solid piece of metal that is actually lathed on a further on further machining. He confirms that by the surface over here, that this is a properly lathed and not welded on shaft, and that all this was actually a piece of metal that got cut into slowly. As you can see, the wedge points down there. If I zoom in, the wedges, the table wedge, you can see that curvature there. That actually explains this was a full metal piece. This was once upon a time a block or a cylinder. So it was designed and cut on lathe for maximum strength. So you want to look at bell housings like these. You want to buy them or invest in them, or whatever you may call it. Very durable. And get your M5 bolts and or M6 bolts through that, and then don't forget your gears as well. You need to drill through that. This is a competition gear. I have the spur and pinion gears upgraded, one tooth each. One tooth on one tooth more on this and one tooth less on the main gear. So yeah, that will go in perfect. Alright, so you wanna make sure you have a little tiny weeny bit of play. Tiny weeny bit. Anyway, so yeah, you wanna make sure that, because when you're installing, you just want it nicely to glide in and your bolt goes in there. For extra security, I'm gonna Loctite it with a little bit of 243 Loctite, and on top of that I'm gonna add another flathead nut on top of the lock nut to give me proper security. Alright, so back again shortly. Bye. Yeah, so there you have it. This is just basically what it looks like. With bell housings through, the bearings are there. Yeah, so I'm just gonna be putting my bolt in last once I'm certain of the fixing. So once that is done, I should fix the bolt, the nuts in. I don't need to worry about the M5 bolt in this case slipping or going out of place. It's pretty firm and confirmed that it is going to be durable. So yeah, be back shortly. Ta-da! Yeah, so I'm back, and there you have it. It's all installed, and it's behaving rather really awesome. As you can see this, how effective the grease in the bearing is. If I were using stock and without the grease, if I flick the gear around the bell house, it would be rotating so freely and for such a long time. That's not really good. In the long run, that free rotation of the bearing is gonna wear the ball bearings in the bearing. So yeah, once again, you want to get some grease in your bearings. Open the seal, then just press some grease in. High density grease, high heat resistance grease, basically, by Fox or someone else, referred to you by, to your liking. Sorry about that. Yeah, so you wanna have your bearings a bit not really firm, not really loose, where you just swing it and it rotates for ecstasy. We just want to have something like this because it's recommended well in engineering specs. If you're an engineer, you would know what I'm trying to tell you. You want about 60 or 70, about 65% of grease in your bearings before the seals are on, and then after your seals are on, the grease kind of retains itself and keeps itself inside there, doing its necessary job of protecting the ball bearings. Your ball bearings and the balls inside the bearing, and hence gives you longer duration, and you don't have to be worried about opening that particular bearing or that particular housing just to get the bearings changed soon. So I have done all around this KM buggy, King Motor buggy. All bearings on it have grease. I've pumped grease into the bearings. Until today, I've not had a problem as such. So done some further engineering there, put some netting through the roof and on the bottom there, just to prevent the grass from getting in. So yeah, I'll be back shortly once I get the brakes and everything else assembled. Now another little trick I want to show you. When you're assembling your brakes, you may think, oh no, I have to remove this whole bracket up and open all the bolts and blah 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 blah. No, you don't really. Just get rid of your 4 bolts there, and there. Of course, that holds your brake system down. And what you want to do at the rear, you just want to loosen that bolt there. Leave the other one tightened, because that's usually covered by the exhaust if you have that kind of an exhaust. You know them well. I had a ghost pipe exhaust, but wasn't really happy with it. So yeah, you want to lose that bolt up, and you want to loosen. I don't know if you can peek through here. Yeah, you want to loosen that bolt there. That one. Alright. So not remove it, just loosen it out. That will give you ample play to get your stuff in and out. Just make sure you don't damage your plate by doing that flexible job. You just need a little play, and your disc plates will actually slide under, so you don't really have to lift this thing right up to the clouds. Just need to give it a small lift, that much, and your brake discs will just glide under at a about 60-degree angle. Not that way, it will go in that way, like a scoop up. Alright? Anyway, I'll be back shortly and carry on with this installation. Ta-da! Right, so further upgrade going in is the spur gear mount. That's aluminium alloy. The bearing is slightly bigger, so I'm doing away with the stock part because I'm not really happy with it. As it is, my bolt was kind of slipping in there while it was hot, and yes, it had melted too. So really crappy bit of part. Just wanted to upgrade it, and I don't know what to do with this little bugger. Probably just keep it just in case of an emergency, but I don't see that alloy part which is being replaced getting spoiled any soon. Yeah, so similar installation. I have no friggin' idea what these two screws are here for. Those ones, 1, 2, no bloody idea. But anyway, similar as previous installations, I'll ask about what those screws are for, but I'm happy with what I'm doing. So yeah, we have upgraded alloy brakes too. So basically I'm happy. So yeah, be back shortly. Ta-da! Yeah, so here I'm back again, and I just wanted to have a small walkthrough. So what it is I've done is I've just wanted to remind you, do not forget your spacers, the 2 alloy spacers, or maybe you might be having nylon ones, which I would recommend you change to aluminium because of the heat that rotates around the discs here. As you can see, my color-coded fin is in. Sorry, I'm back again. As you can see, the color-coded fin is in there, and I'm going to be putting the top plate. That's how the setup is supposed to look. Make sure I had a problem with my previous brake system. I had 2 sets bought, so I forgot. I was so excited to receive them, I forgot to Loctite the grub screw down properly. So I ended up losing my pin plus the brake pad, and basically just fucked up everything. So yeah, that was the main cause. So regardless of that, just make sure you have your spacers in place, everything is in order. You've Loctite your grub screw, which is on the alloy brake piece on itself, holding the pin down securely on both sides. As you can see, there's a grub screw there, right there. I don't know if you can see that. Yep, right there, and one right there. Alright, it's just a bit dirty and chuffy, but that should do the job. So yeah, I'll be back shortly once I've done some further installations. Ta-da! Yeah, so guys, I'm back, and that's what the final outcome is. that's what the installation is supposed to look like. So yeah, a little bit of shininess here and there. I'll have my bolts put in, and after that of course the main drive gear, so that's mine. Put that on, and the KM cover. Yeah, so I have upgraded cover here. I just wanted to show you. And this cover is a KM alloy. Actually, the main reason for me to put this is help reduce heat and friction. So yeah, this acts like a heat sink technically. Alright, so see you later. Bye. Hi, it's me again, and we are back. So I have completed all the installation, as you can see. The brake pads right there. New fin, new discs. Alright, everything is properly reinforced. My gears are in place. My clip, do not forget that. My modified and engineered bell housing is in perfect working order. There's a lot of good free movement there. Right, no noises, no gears crushing amongst each other. As you may see, my gears are slightly whitish. Why that is? Because I have added a very thin layer of lithium grease. It's quite sticky and durable too, so I would recommend that as well on your gear system to avoid friction and wear and tear. Though most of it doesn't really last for long, it's always advisable at least to have a little bit of grease on your gears to give it more to give it less friction, wear and tear. So yeah, so that's going to be going, that is finished according to the installation. Everything is well and good. Final thing remaining to install is my KM gear housing. Funnily, I did have my clips that hold on to wait 1 minute, need to get that into position. There's a groove that needs to sit behind the plate correctly, and that usually clips in. There we go. So it's more or less flush over there. Alright, so there we have it. The gear housing is in place. The bullet clip is right there with its pin behind. I had to use the old stock part right over there as I'd lost that, as mentioned earlier. So there we have it. Everything's in order, everything's in place, everything's working good enough. Next would be the installations of the IRC shocks. I'm doing away with these. I'm gonna keep them just in case for the future. Not gonna get rid of them. And so we have our shocks over here, and they have been oil filled already. I've done that successfully. Thank you, Stephen, by the way, from WLB, for letting me know how exactly to go about doing that. Though I did have a guide from Innovative RC in regard to how to get the installation done correctly. That's all there, but I think Stephen gave me an idea or two which was not mentioned here. Secondly, lastly, most important is these pins. These pins that sit on top of the shock absorbers, I assume they actually have been sent to the buyer looking like this. We have to go through all the hassle of cutting and grinding, shaving off the lower part, which is not really actually required. I know this pin is actually, this socket is actually designed for a other RCs out there, but I think a supply of two different types would have been consistent. I mean, would have been good enough if we weren't supposed to be going through with the cutting and shaving off of this little piece. But nonetheless, it has to be done. So either way, nonetheless, a big shout out going to Innovative RC, Rob, whom you may all know of, and massive shout out going out to Joker Designs as well, Joker Design RC, from whom I managed to get these shocks ordered from. Yeah, so next will be the installation. I will be getting rid of the shocks shortly, and walk you through the whole process and procedure of installation. Alright, so there we have it. The gear housing is in place. The bullet clip is right there with its pin behind. I had to use the old stock part right over there as I'd lost that, as mentioned earlier. So there we have it. Everything's in order, everything's in place, everything's working good enough. Next would be the installations of the IRC shocks. I'm doing away with these. I'm going to keep them just in case for the future. Not going to get rid of them. And so we have our shocks over here, and they have been oil filled already. I've done that successfully. Thank you, Stephen, by the way, from WLB, for letting me know how exactly to go about doing that. Though I did have a guide from Innovative RC in regard to how to get the installation done correctly. That's all there, but I think Stephen gave me an idea or two which was not mentioned here. Secondly, lastly, most important is these pins that sit on top of the shock absorbers. I assume they actually have been sent to the buyer looking like this. We have to go through all the hassle of cutting and grinding, shaving off the lower part, which is not really actually required. I know this pin is actually this socket is actually designed for other RCs out there, but I think a supply of two different types would have been consistent. I mean, would have been good enough if we weren't supposed to be going through with the cutting and shaving off of this little piece. But nonetheless, it has to be done. So either way, nonetheless, a big shout out going to Innovative RC, Rob, whom you may all know of, and massive shout out going out to Joker Designs as well, Joker Design RC, from whom I managed to get these shocks ordered from. Yeah, so next will be the installation. I will be getting rid of the shocks shortly, and walk you through the whole process and procedure of installation. Hello, it's Ricky Chana again over here, Chana Racing, but nonetheless, I've got my IRC Innovative shock absorber installed in the front. And the thing is, I encountered one little problem with the other shock, which was that shock there. I had to use my drill machine with that bit, very tiny little bit there, to get some holes made inside the diaphragm that sits in the shock absorber, because one of them did not have the holes drilled through. So basically what it was, the shock was really tough and hard as I kind of compressed it. So I had to open the shock and drill the 4 little holes around the diaphragm in order to let the oil move up and down the shock as it compressed and decompressed. So yeah, that problem I solved. You have to make sure you check your diaphragms have the 4 holes in order for the silicone oil to move freely up and down when the shock is compressed and decompressed. On all 4 shocks, make sure the diaphragm once again has its 4 little tiny holes. The drill bit is approximately 1.5 millimeter, or you can use in my case a 1 millimeter drill bit to drill your 4 holes with. And secondly, regarding the sockets, we were earlier on talking about these ones. That kit is for the rear, as I'm in progress of getting the front completed. If I give you a small peek of what I did here, right there, alright, so you can see the socket at the furthest end on the left hand side there, and what you see over here inside there is a kind of a washer that I improvised that is built onto the socket. So what I basically did is just not really grind the socket down to the cutting point, but I grinded it down and left about 1 mil of the previous the grind down material attached to the socket. So what that does actually is give you a flush fit between the 2 surfaces of this bracket here. So you will not have a play and you'll not have the bracket bending inwards while tightening the nut and bolt. So yeah, it works really well. You don't really have to grind it all the way down. Just leave about 1 millimeter thickness on your sockets. That should do it. Well, mine's not really straight, it's a little bit wedgy. I never did a good job there, but nonetheless it should work. I've tested it by placing it into the hole, which I'm going to show you shortly. If you can see, set the camera there. Alright, so if I kind of bring this in, so there, oops. So there you have it. You know, you can see from there that it's flush. Alright, so there we go. I'm not getting this correct, hold on. Yeah, so that's more or less like it. Yeah, so it's basically flush there. There we go. So now you can see it's surface to surface. So yeah, so really advisable to have it washer thickness when you're grinding it down. It will help for support. So yeah, next update will be once I've completed all the shock absorber installations, all 4. So yeah, see you then. Ta-da.